Hey, how are you? How's everyone?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We have a younger version of Miss Benaya, right? Oh no, no, she's just using her connection. How are you, Miss
Pathic.
D
Yeah.
A?
Hi everyone. No, we're using Jocelyn's link. So I changed my name.
I'm gonna give it a few more minutes until the rest of the board members join us. Hi, Luana. 2 more minutes, right?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, 7:05. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Thank you, Chanel. Now we are live both on social media, YouTube and Facebook. We are being recorded and also broadcasted live so that the community knows and understands our functions, what we're doing, how we can contribute to try and make a neighborhood safer and a more understanding of the functions of both the police department and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I'd like to welcome our board members, Jumirna Alcover, um, my good friend, Rabbi Jelinski, and Miss Dr. Ferreira. I gotta call you a doctor so I don't get punished by you. Uh, we're gonna try and get the meeting started seamlessly and without further anything else to say. I'm gonna pass the baton to Jocelyn Minaya, who's gonna play co-host and introduce the topic, and her colleagues will be making the presentation moving forward. So, Ms. Minaya.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all this evening. I am honored to be joined by Assistant District Attorney Rashana Pathak and Daniel Corbett from the District Attorney's Office. They are doing awesome work in the area of construction fraud, wage theft. I know that our office recently expanded the construction fraud task force, and now it's statewide, if I'm not mistaken, Rashana, that's correct. And I am going to pass the baton over to them so they can give us a brief presentation on what these very important units are doing for our community and for Manhattan.
Good evening. Okay. Is this working?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Community Board 12. Thank you for inviting us. It is a privilege to present to you. We have a short presentation for you today about our work, and then we are happy to take questions from the community. So we have so just to introduce myself, my name is Rachana Pathak. I work as an assistant district attorney here in the Manhattan DA's office. I've been in this office for 18 years. I head up the worker protection unit as well as the construction fraud task force. Also with me today is Danielle Corbett, and you'll hear from her as we do the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So what we do, one of our biggest types of cases that we do are wage theft cases. Additionally, we have done a lot of construction wage theft cases. Those are most of the cases that come in through our hotline. This is when a construction worker is not being paid for work that they've done. We see it all the time, and we're seeing it especially with recent migrants. And we've seen it with undocumented workers. We do not ask about your status. Non-native English speakers. We have interpreters here who speak every language. And if you're not being paid, please report that. If we have a certain number of people who an employer is cheating, we can bring criminal charges against that employer. We also investigate unsafe work practices. This includes construction fatalities, construction injuries, trench collapses, scaffold falls. I handled a gas explosion. We're looking at all sorts of things like that happen in Manhattan. We also, we investigate worker fatalities. If an employer is pushing the worker to do things that they shouldn't do, we are here for you. We would like to investigate that employer, make him change his practices and hold him accountable for endangering workers. We investigate fraud, whether these are false filings, bribery, we investigate enterprise corruption in all industries. We want to make this city safe, and we want to protect workers who run this city.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Corbett. I'm the coordinator for the Worker Protection Unit and the Construction Fraud Task Force. I've been doing this work about 6 years now. Our main focus is protecting workers and ensuring that everyone is paid properly. These are some successful cases we've had in the last few years. In 2021, we had a company called Ampac Electrical that was not paying their workers. There were 18 workers that were shorted $121,000. They were doing work at the Virgin Hotel in Midtown, and we worked very closely with the community group NICE to get these workers their money back within months. And then several years ago, we had a case where a 22-year-old Ecuadorian immigrant named Carlos Moncayo was killed on a construction site. He was doing excavation work, and the trench had collapsed on him, and he died as a result of that. And the company had been warned several times of unsafe conditions. We investigated the company and we held them accountable, as well as a few players in the company. Because of this, we were able to get the law changed. It's called Carlos Law. Previously, companies could only be held accountable about $10,000, and now the minimum will be $500,000.
So if you yourself have been victimized by a unscrupulous employer, we would like to hear from you, and we will give out our number at the end of the presentation. You can report to us stolen wages, unreported injuries, and unsafe practices. We have seen instances where if someone is injured on the job, the employer tells them to go to urgent care or to lie to the healthcare providers and say you weren't injured on the job, you were injured elsewhere. We see a lot of misclassification cases where the employer is classifying a worker as a clerical worker when in fact they're doing much more dangerous work. You can report to us briberies, you can report chemical exposures in a nail salon, for example, or any other type of harmful chemicals. We are also interested in investigating fake OSHA and SST cards, fraudulent schools that are giving these cards out, and fraudulent licenses. There's a few things. The case must be in Manhattan. We only investigate cases that are in Manhattan. We are the Manhattan DA's office, and you can report regardless of your immigration status. In addition to construction, we are also interested in wage theft in restaurant industry, nail salons, retail industry, and cleaning companies. Right now, the state of the law is we require more than 2 workers. That's just the way the penal law is written, and the amount has to be over $1,000.
These are some tips we tell our workers that will help them and help us to make a case if they're being cheated or if there's unsafe practices on their job site. We tell them to keep track of the addresses they work at. If they're working on construction, oftentimes they'll work all over. Keep the names of their supervisors and coworkers. They might have someone who is their boss, their supervisor, their foreman, or someone else who pays them. Keep track of their hours, because if they're being cheated hours, this is what we're going to use to make the calculations later on. Save text messages. If they get a new phone, we always say screenshot it and send it to yourself so you'll have it later on. Save any checks, pay stubs, and take photos of your job sites, any unsafe practices, anything like that. If there's unsafe practices on job sites, or if you're in construction and you're working all over, these are some of the permits that you might see outside, and we tell people to keep track of these as well.
Oh, I thought there were smart buildings because they have.
So this is our number. If you need to report an incident, 646-712-0298. You can call this number, you can text message, or you can WhatsApp this number. We have an intake person. This person will contact you to set up an interview, gather information that you have. There is strength in numbers. So if you have more than one person who's willing to come forward and participate in the process, it will be a stronger case. So we encourage all of you to do that. And that's all we have for you. And we're happy to take any questions.
Open to questions. Ms. Grant.
Yes, hello. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question. How long do these investigations take, would you say?
It really depends. In the case that Danielle spoke about, AMPAC, we got the allegations it came over our hotline in March, I believe. We had money to the workers, the $112,000 to the workers by September. So that one took 6 months. That was fast. The lawyer wanted it wrapped up and everything, but it depends. We're working on a case right now. I think it came in through our hotline about a month ago. And I believe we're going to go into the grand jury in July. So that one is faster. On the other hand, we also do, cases involving public works jobs. So, when you work on a city job, it's even a higher rate that you're supposed to be paid. That one took a little bit longer. That took over a year because we had to get all these city documents and do search warrants. So to answer your question, it really depends on the type of case and, what type of evidence we have. So as Daniel said, if you keep track of your hours, that really helps us. Because if everyone says they were working there, or if they have pictures of being on a job site or wherever, that really helps with the evidence collection.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's important to, let the public know, if this happens to them, how long it takes to close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions regarding wait staff, whether they know someone, whether you want more information, whether you like that number to be more accessible, whether you want the community board, the office, to keep the number in case we want to email blast it? Anyone has any ideas? That's basically mine. I think that Jocelyn would be a good idea to keep as much as we can from the presentation, and especially the contact number. And VA, the fact, and your colleague Danielle Corbett, that we can keep it in our files, and so that people call all the time for various reasons. So it'll be a good thing to have that information readily available for the community at large.
Yeah, we will send. We have sent flyers to Jocelyn. We can send more, and I just posted also our hotline number in the chat.
Okay, good. Thank you guys for coming. This is my second shot at the presentation. I was participated in the one that was done at the Technical Institute down in the East Harlem. Yeah,
Right.
it was pretty good. Yeah, it was very good. So thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Jocelyn, for making this possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Moving along I'm gonna try and, I don't know his title, but his name is Elliot Winnick. He represents the company that is gonna organize the Tonys at the United Palace. There are some things that they will be doing that will affect our traffic and a few other things. So he was kind enough to come last minute because we know the importance of not only just their event, but how it affects our community at large. So Mr. Winnick, floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I had to go off for another call, so if I missed anything, I apologize.
I just made a presentation about how wonderful and less hectic you're gonna make your event for all of us.
Okay, well, I'm the site manager for the Tony Awards. So I deal with everything pretty much outside of the walls of the United Palace, which is basically the community. I mean, I have to support the inside production, the lighting, and the stage managers and all that stuff. The Tony organization is very excited to be up in the Heights. You know, and they've been spending, all the stagehands are spending money on all the restaurants right now and parking lots and doing a little bit of economic development there. The Tony Awards are this Sunday. It's a live broadcast on CBS, and it's a worldwide broadcast. They do a webcast starting at 6:30, and the CBS show starts at 8 o'clock, goes to 11 o'clock at night, and it's all about Broadway, which is a huge economic driver for the city. Normally, the awards are at either Radio City Music Hall or sometimes the Beacon Theater. But like I said, we're very excited to be up there. We started technical load-in for the TV production a week ago on June 2nd, May 31st, we started load-in. And so, now we're in rehearsal mode inside the theater. And part of the footprint is a lot of technical production trucks that surround the building on Wadsworth. Those are TV production trucks. They're like $6 million TV studios on wheels, literally the same units that they use for the Super Bowl. So the director can call the shots with the camera. And on the 176th Street, that's our backstage. And as you know, the Tony Awards is a lot of live performances from different Broadway casts. There is very little backstage at that theater. So that's that part of that street has been tented so that the band carts, pianos, stage sets, props are all rolled in and out for different parts of the different performances. So if one cast does the performance, they're off the stage, go to commercial, and then they roll that all out into the tent on the street and then roll back to the next thing. So it's a lot of moving parts for the actual broadcast. Besides the broadcast, then we're going to have a red carpet arrivals, which will be in a tent on Broadway. That'll be all the arrivals people of all the nominees and presenters and show talent. We'll have the cast buses arriving on Wadsworth. Again, all the casts, so they get dressed and do hair and makeup and wigs at their theaters, and then we bus them up for rehearsal on Sunday morning, bus them back. They fine-tune themselves, and then for the live show, again, live real time, all the casts come up again by bus, and we have a whole bus operation on Wadsworth to get the casts in, to get on stage in time for their live performance. We're going to have a celebration party right afterwards, which is primarily for the award winners and their entourage, to basically have a toast, to celebrate their winning. And that's a tent primarily in the pedestrian plaza that's right next to the United Palace Theater. And we start building that tent tomorrow. And then there's a media center in the Radio Hotel, which is also a new community. They've bought out some office space. They've bought out a lot of the space there. And any winner who wins, Tony will be then shuttled to the Radio Hotel to do their interviews with the media, which you'll see on TV or on papers the next day. Part of this, so our initial footprint right now is all the streets just surrounding United Plaza Theater, including production vehicles and various other vehicles. On show day, we have a larger footprint that'll be managed by NYPD. That'll help facilitate both the red carpet arrivals, and then the captain can talk more about that. But that also includes not only traffic control, but it includes things like counterterrorism, things that are an overlay on every large live event in New York City. Nobody wants a crazy person to go barreling into a red carpet tent or anything like that. So the police are in charge of that part of the operation, and the captain's here. And we've had extensive meetings with the traffic division, with the precinct, with the borough, Manhattan North, on pretty much every detail of this, and we're still tweaking it as we go along. So I'm here to answer any questions. Just so you know, also, we prepared a community notice that we've distributed today to every building and business on all the blocks that surround the United Palace Theater, going from Fort Washington to Wadsworth, 165th, 6th, and 6th Streets. Again, the cross streets, just to let them know. So for instance, the parking lot that's on Broadway 176 to 177th, they know that they're not going to be affected. He was worried that he'd be put out of business. Any car that says they're going to the parking lot or leaving the parking lot will absolutely be allowed in. We're working with all those businesses on the notice have my cell number. If they have any issues, they call me and we'll get them solved. If somebody's moving, or if like the supermarket on the corner of 175th, we're going to make sure they get the deliveries in, garbage pickups, the normal stuff I do at every event in New York City. I've been doing special events for about 45 years in New York. So everything from the Grammy Awards to the Super Bowl Boulevard to Republican National Convention. So I'm very familiar with how to do these type of logistics.
Questions? Thank you for coming along in such a fast notice. And
Yeah, that's that's fine. The more I can share, the more information you have, the better prepared you are. And I think Ebenezer is also, I gave him a copy of the community notice. He's posting it on the community board website, I think. And today we also got we got a Spanish version of it translated, and we're going to give out some more of those tomorrow, some more community notices. And I hired some local people in the community who are in the film business, who are currently not working because of the Writers Guild strike, ironically. So they live in the community, they're fluent, bilingual. So they're helping me with outreach to the community. If there's a question, if anybody has an issue, they'll get personalized attention.
Yeah, it's really a question for the 33rd.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that everyone in this room that has been part of their present in their reports has always been the issue of not having enough police officers in the past year or so because of various reasons. Now with this event, what is the plan? How are you going to complement the prison to, again, make sure that every service and every emergency is covered, plus the addition of having this kind of event on Sunday night?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Captain Bishowska, Executive Officer from the 33rd Precinct. So the 33rd Precinct will be in charge of the event. We are going to provide numerous police officers. We're also working closely with Manhattan North Borough. There will be additional officers provided to us, as well as officers from other units. For example, there will be traffic, there will be the heavy weapons officers from CRT. So we have everything covered. We are in close communication with different agencies, with EMS, fire department, building department. So we are going to make sure that everything goes very smoothly.
So they're going to be additional offers. Do you have a number?
I don't have the number right now.
Okay.
But it will be enough.
It will be enough, right?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions so that we can have Mr. Winnick leave and move on exactly to your report? Captain, you said captain, right? Or deputy?
Yes.
Captain. Any questions? Mr. Winnick will be in touch. If we have any other questions, we're gonna reach out to Ebenezer and make.
That's fine. And just so you know, some of my favorite restaurants are right down the block, so I'll be hitting them up also. Okay.
Good luck. You have a success event.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. So we're gonna move along to your report, Captain.
Okay. So everything is fine in 33rd Precinct. We continue to trend in the right direction. Overall, crime is down about 8% for the week, for the 28-day period, and for the year. Actually, last week we arrested a very prolific perpetrator who was breaking into cars and stealing property. So ever since that arrest, we haven't had any incidents, which is a great success story for us and for the community as well. The only crime trends that we currently observe are commercial burglaries and larcenies of scooters. So we're asking the community, if you see anything suspicious, if you see any people who appear to be casing a restaurant or a store, please reach out to us. We can do it without the community, obviously. Also, in terms of scooters, if you own a moped or a scooter, or you know somebody who does, please try to not leave it on the street. Park it in the garage if you have this ability, or invest in some kind of a tracking device. So it's easier for us to recover the scooters. Other than that, on Sunday, we're going to have the Tony Award that we just talked about. And that's pretty much it. So if there are any questions.
Ray Miller has a question for you.
Hi, thank you, Eleazar. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name at the beginning. You said your name kind of fast and I was having an issue hearing. Are you the new CO of the 33rd? Is Captain Natal still
No,
there?
so no, Inspector Natalie is still the commanding officer. I am the
Okay.
executive officer.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. I had a question. So as I'm sure you're well aware of, there was a shooting at that deli on 162nd and Broadway a couple of weeks ago, where that gentleman, he was visiting his family, terrible, from Egypt, and he was standing outside on the phone and he got shot in the head and he died. I had seen a police car, police van. Are they still surveilling that area? Because from what I understand, they have a general idea of who did it. So I know you can't get into the nuts and bolts of it because it's an ongoing investigation, I'm sure. But are they close to finding the person? Have they found the person
Yes.
of
So
that crime?
yes. So like you know, I'm not free to discuss the details of the investigation. However, the detective squad is working tirelessly, and I can assure you that the case will be closed any day now.
Okay, that's good to hear. So the police car or the van is still sitting on that corner? I haven't been down there since last week.
Yes, we have officers there.
Because it's very unnerving. I'm right on West 165th and Broadway, and a couple of months ago, there was a shooting right here by the Chase Bank. I actually heard the gunshots from my apartment. And so it's very unnerving because I'm seeing almost every night, I'm getting blasts from Citizen app, that's something like right here on 163rd. But it seems to be that even before this happened with the Delhi incident, that there has been a lot of activity on that particular corner. I think there had been something that happened once before. I had gotten into a conversation with an officer at that time from the 33rd, where they had a car sitting there, and I asked what was going on, and they said it was like gang related. It was like two gangs, one from the Heights, one from Inwood, and it was like retaliation kind of thing. So it's kind of unnerving because I do go shopping down on Food Town, which is like right near there. And it's pretty unnerving, that, first of all, that this happened at a time where people are walking around, families are walking around at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night now that it gets dark later. And it's, it could have been anybody that got shot. It's sad that this man just happened to be standing there and he was the victim, but it could have been anybody. I heard people were running for cover, people were jumping out of the way, and it's, so I don't know, is this something that's like gang related, and like what is the precinct doing to crack down on the gang or gangs in this area over here?
Right. So I totally understand your concerns, and our intelligence tells us that there will not be any retaliation within the confines of the 33rd precinct. Also, to prevent any types of violence, we strategically deploy our resources to where the violence might happen, any type of violence. And then I'm not talking about shooting, I'm talking about robberies, burglaries, and all the other small crimes that lead to bigger crimes.
I just have one more quick question, Eleazar,
Sure.
if I might ask the captain. So the last month's meeting, I don't believe that you were in attendance. There's another officer from the 33rd. Somebody that lives up in Inwood had asked one of the officers representing from the 34th, Washington Heights, right over here by me, right by that 162nd Street corner of Broadway, there has been for the last several months, I call it like an open air drug market. There is a van that is sitting in the same spot day after day after day after day with one of those paper plates.
Mm-hmm.
And the vehicle looks like, if you've seen the accessoride vans, it looked like at one time it was an accessoride van. And this guy is just sitting there with the door of the van open. He's got his little table with his little whiteboard. And he's got like lookout people. You know that they're lookouts because they just keep pacing back and forth and looking and watching. And it's right in front of a business. And I have to say, the last meeting I asked, and the officer from the 33rd said that there's nothing that they could do. You know, pot now is legalized. I said, yeah, but unless it's investigated, how do you know that the person is just selling marijuana? They could be selling anything out of that van.
And you said
really,
you said the van was on 162nd and Broadway?
I think it's 163rd, actually between 162nd and 163rd. And it's going, I want to say, like, not on the downtown side of Broadway, but the uptown side of Broadway.
Okay. I will speak with my field intelligence officers, and if anything, we also collaborate with narcotics. We can send undercovers and conduct operations there.
Yeah, because
So
I don't.
that.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable like when I'm walking down that street there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, and given the fact that there was just something that happened on 162nd and Broadway,
Right.
and that spot is like a hot spot with narcotics. And so now there's this as well. And I just, you know, in my mind all the time, I'm like, I hope gunshots don't start ringing out, you know, like there's a shootout or
Right.
something.
Okay.
So
I will
I think
address
it's
the
something that
issue
needs
of
to
the
be
van. You said
investigated.
it's on Broadway between 162 and 163, right?
Yes,
Okay.
on the uptown side of Broadway, not going downtown, but on the uptown side of Broadway.
Okay, I will definitely look into it, and if we can, we'll start some kind of operation to address the issue.
All right, thank you so very much.
You're
Thank you.
Yeah, our Assistant Secretary, Jermina Alcobar.
Hi, good evening. So I have a question about the incident on 162nd and Broadway to piggyback of what we just discussed. I understand it's an ongoing investigation. However, according to the press and the media, they're saying that unfortunately, the victim was not the intended target. And based on the footage that was released to the press, I'm curious if the young people that were in front of the store, if they were potentially the intended target, and if this aligns with crime amongst young people. So if that question is not addressed, is there a way for us to know if our local precinct is doing anything?
Chequéme si el tipo
to-
terminó de limpiar la guagua.
LSL, you mind muting yourself, please? Sorry.
Oh, sorry about that.
So to complete my question, I was just wondering if that part of my question can be answered due to ongoing investigation, I understand. But I'm curious if the 33rd precinct has been doing any initiative around minimizing youth getting involved in gangs, or pretty much targeting our young men in our neighborhood to pretty much provide them a different, I guess, haven, somewhere safe that's not the streets. That way they won't turn to gangs.
Okay, so the 33rd precinct, we offer programs such as auxiliary. There are also programs like explorers. We don't have anything specific, but I know there are agencies and a lot of community organizations that offer services. For example, when I was in the 33rd precinct, I got very close with one of the community members who was teaching young men how to cut hair to get them off the street for the summer or for the duration of the school. So I know there are a lot of programs for young men to join. They're not actually coming straight out of 33rd precinct, but I know there are a lot of programs for young men.
How about based on the footage, the other people that were on that footage, could they have potentially been the designated target for the drive-by?
Could they have? Yes, of course. But like I said, it's an ongoing investigation, so I'm not free to speak with about details.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think we understand. We've been through having questions asked, but not being fully full disclosure. So yeah, but thank you though. You've been extremely kind, responding as many questions that you've been posed. So thank you so much, and my regards to Deputy Natali. That he's well loved in this area. I'm going to now move on to the 34th, who happens not to be here. Jocelyn, is there, Ms. Benaya, is there anything that you might want to share with us that might have happened of interest on the 34th? I have a hand raised. It's at Clutch Productions. I don't know whether that's the name, but can you identify yourself?
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Christy Ann Griert, and because we're in webinar mode, I'm unable to change my name. But my question was, do we have information or a report from the 34th? Because I am one of a resident who lives on Seaman Avenue. I'm a representative of the Lower Seaman Tenants Avenue or Lower Seaman Tenants Association. And we've had some true safety concerns happening on Dykeman and Seaman. So I was hoping that someone could speak to that before perhaps we ask questions.
Right. As you say, there's no one from the 34th, but I guess our DA representative can probably just go over a few of the main items, things that might have transpired that I think may have gotten the most attention. So, Jocelyn. I think you're mute.
So I have nothing regarding the 3-4. I'm not sure what the situation is there. But in terms of the district attorney's office, so if I may give my report, since I usually follow the precinct.
Yeah.
As we all know, June is Gun Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Senator Jackson had a great event, which unfortunately we got soaked because the skies opened up this last Friday at J. Hood Wright Park. So that was the initiation and what they called Wear Orange Day, which is June 2nd. So, as part of our efforts to raise awareness, we are having a gun buyback this Saturday, June 10th at Memorial Baptist Church at 141 West 115th Street from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For those that are not familiar with a gun buyback, or the process is basically anyone can come in and turn in an operable handgun. They will get a $200 bank card as well as an iPad for handguns or assault rifles. So that there no questions asked. You just turn the gun in and you get your bank card. There's $25 bank card for rifles and shotguns, as well as air gun. So one iPad per person, subject to availability, is first come, first serve. And the idea is to, once again, just try and get as many guns off the street as we possibly can. As far as I'm concerned, quantity is wonderful, but I think even one gun taken off the street is potentially 7 lives saved. So I pray that you can help us get the word out on this event this coming Saturday, June 10th. We're also doing a Youth Against Violence poster contest. The deadline is June the 16th, and it's all sorts of violence where youth can interpret or just create art in what they believe gun violence eradication is, bullying, hate crimes, any sort of violence. So the winner will get a prize for their school, a monetary prize where the school can use it to create any type of anti-violence initiative that the youth come up with. So those are 2 of the things that are going on. And then we're also having an Art of Healing event on June the 17th. And the details for that will be forthcoming. I know that it will be in East Harlem. We're really targeting that area because of the rise in youth violence there. But we will be having an Art of Healing event in Washington Heights more towards the end of summer. And I will keep the committee posted on that as well. And that is all I have for today, Elisa.
Thank you very much. We just like to try and I'd like to I want to apologize on their behalf, but I think it's pretty much to have those of you board members, not just board members, but community members who take their time or make their time available to come and ask the 34th and the 33rd precinct's representatives the questions that they felt are affecting their community. So I think that we are going to try and Castillo, the CEO Castillo, has been extremely sympathetic and he's always on time. I don't know what happened this time around, but I will make a note to myself and our office will contact them and ask them the reason why they did not come and try and get you guys.
He's on vacation.
Oh, he's on vacation.
I believe he's away, yes.
Yeah, but he usually sends a rep.
Okay.
Staffer, yeah, when he doesn't come. So he's been a good ally thus far, so I'm gonna cut him a break. But again, we have a responsibility here as a community board members to make sure that our community residents are heard and their preoccupations and concerns are listened to. So for that, I will apologize just for that. Now,
Eleazar, if I may, if someone has some concerns, I mean, they should voice them, and I'm sure the captain can take it back to Inspector Castillo if someone needs to raise a concern.
I think the lady that spoke from CP Close Production that spoke on the representative or the Tenants Association, the lower seaman talked about, she mentioned about security concerns in Dyckman and Seaman, the corner.
I'm still here and happy to speak about that.
Mention it. Would you talk about it?
Sure. And I know that there are actually several other neighbors from the area on this call, and we were hoping to be able to address our concerns with the 3-4. And this is not an unfamiliar discussion or dialogue about what's happening in the plaza and open street at the corner of Dyckman and Seaman. Particularly as the summer heats up and events and music things are going to be more frequent, we're having issues of intense noise with speakers being aimed directly at the buildings. And so there are a lot of 311 calls that we can deal with noise complaints on. But what's happening that at a town hall meeting a month or so ago that I brought to the commander's attention was that that particular intersection becomes a complete snarl, even if there is PD crowd control. And on Sunday, there was a massive event estimating possibly between 700 and 900 people in a very small block area right there with barricades set up, but it becomes an intense pedestrian hazard with the illegal parking. Because we're told not to do emergency calls for that situation, because what our understanding is that NYPD there is not necessarily to prevent the emergency, but to respond to the emergency. But the daylighting in that intersection is terrible. DOT shrugs us off all the time. But when we have that volume of people in the crowd, when we have the number of people trying to cross the streets, and then there are illegal parked cars on both sides and traffic moving down the center at a complete snarl, people laying on horns, yes, that's inconvenient, but more importantly, it's incredibly unsafe. And it goes undealt with. So if there are PD officers in the plaza for crowd control, which they were, and I went up personally and spoke to many of them, and they said, the traffic problem isn't our job today. Call the 3-4. The 3-4 needs to have people out there directing traffic if there are going to be events of this size. Ticketing cars after the fact, certainly that's a revenue source, but it's not helping the safety issues at this intense intersection when we have events of this size. And I would be happy to cede the rest of my time. I know there are other people that have comments about this issue that should be recorded and taken to heart by the community board, but also, it would be wonderful if we could get a representative back as soon as possible. We've written emails, we've asked for noise permits, for understanding how this plaza is supposed to be functioning, because it's working for a very selective purpose, and it's not about serving the needs of the community that surrounds it at this moment.
I'm gonna post my email address in case that you want direct communication with someone. So if there's any complaints, even signatures, whatever you guys need, just send it to me if that's okay with you.
Okay, and I will also send an email to Inspector Castillo about your concern. So like I said, I'm not from the 34th precinct, so I'm not sure whether those events are planned or unplanned, because if we know about events ahead of time, we can request traffic agents and, we can adequately prepare. So I will email him, and I'm sure he will get back to you when he comes back.
And I'll just be plain. I think that it's been communicated to us that that some of that enforcement kills the vibe of what is desired to be happening in that very small area. So this is where we need to be able to have a good dialogue opened, and the community board can be incredibly helpful in that. Thank you.
All right, we'll try and set up a meeting next month and try to do a bit of a forum format, so that everything that everyone has to say, we can come up with ideas that could lead to more inclusive or inclusivity. Luana, I think that, hang on a second, I think that someone raised their hand before you. I don't want to make anyone upset.
I think Cheryl was first, and then Jean was next, I believe, and then I can be third.
All right. So
it was vice versa. Sorry, Luana.
Thank you, Jamirna. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, hi. Thank you. Yeah, it's Cheryl. I'm sorry, I'm going to be real quick. To the captain of the 33rd, I'm sorry, I forget your name again. What I had mentioned earlier about the van that's selling, who knows what they're selling out of the van. I actually have the exact address that I saw where they're doing that. It's 38 94 Broadway, and it's West 163rd Street. It's right on the corner of 163rd Street. And in front of that van, there's another van that's sitting there for the longest. I don't know if it's abandoned. It has a Pennsylvania plate on it. It's also like a white van, but then the van where I'm seeing these people selling their, whatever they're selling out of there, it's right behind the van that's on the corner. So it's like two vans, but the van that's selling whatever they're selling is looks like an accessorized van. And that van has a fake paper plate hanging off of it. I think it's a New Jersey plate. I'm sorry, I don't have the plate number. I didn't write it down. I didn't want these guys seeing me looking at the plate and writing the plate number down.
That's New Jersey or Pennsylvania?
No, the van that looks like the accessorized van has a fake paper plate. That one is a New Jersey fake paper plate.
Is it possible? Sorry to interrupt, but is it possible if you may connect with the 33rd precinct on off the meeting so we can continue our meeting agenda? Because I really want to be considerate of everybody's time. So if Cheryl and the representative.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done,
Sure.
but this is the community now. Okay, this is the community that has a right
But even
to
Cheryl, for
Yeah.
your own safety, is there a number where she can call you directly and give you all this information? I wouldn't want you to put yourself
Yeah.
on this platform.
Okay, so then how do I do that? Because I don't want to put my number in the chat. So how do I do that?
I can give you my number. I can put
Okay,
it-
that would be great. Yeah, that'll work. Thank you. As long as I don't give my address, nobody knows where I live. Elliot, sorry, I'm not
Just
putting
take
my
a-
address out there.
Just
Yeah.
take her number, Cheryl, so that I feel safer that way.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who's the next person? Luana said was Jen.
Jean, yes.
Jen, yeah, go ahead, Jen. Jen? Cheryl, her phone number is in the chat so that you can grab it from there. Because Jen is not off the grid.
I don't see it in the chat, Eliezer. I'm sorry, I just looked. I don't see it in the chat.
I just saw it. a few minutes ago.
It's there. It's there.
My name is Jean. I did not raise my hand. I
No,
live,
I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I'm on the chat right now and I don't see it.
It's a 917 number.
I don't see it.
Okay, we'll help you along with that. So, Jen, you say you didn't raise your hand, but it looks as though.
Your hand is up,
there's no
Jean.
reason.
That's why.
what?
Your hand is up. It appears to be up on your.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Well,
So
since I'm
Luana,
switching,
So I just want to bring up a point of clarification when it comes to the function of Quisqueya Plaza and the party. I want to make it clear that this was a party that had its due permit and that the organizers did file for a permit and that we're not conflating issues here with traffic and safety. To my knowledge, there were no safety issues reported or threats to safety. So I just want to make sure that in fairness and in the spirit of this community, the one that I was born, raised, and still living in, that we're not showing sort of like preferential treatment when it comes to musical choices, when it comes to festivities, festivals, and community gatherings. So that's just a point of clarification that I wanted to make, Mr. Chairperson, that this was a party that did have a license. I believe that did end at a decent time. And just to make sure that we're not conflating issues here, in fairness to the community. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this.
Marcia, and
Yes.
then
Yes, thank you. I do understand that it was permitted, had a permit, and I believe it had a permit as an amplified program. I think I'm a volunteer in the Ring Garden, and I'm there every Sunday from 4 to 6. And I've been trying to get a schedule of these events because I know there's one planned for Father's Day, just because there was an announcement 2 weeks ago at one of the concerts. My concern mainly is, well, on Sunday past, it was difficult. A woman came into the garden and urinated in the garden. So maybe that's not public safety, maybe that's public health. But that compounded with another time there were chairs being taken out. It's all fine. I'm glad. I'm happy for the event. My daughter was born in this neighborhood. I've been here 30 years. So it's just, I think that the DJ came, was he a surprise? I don't really understand. It's all okay. You know, I'm not trying to call out that it was a, wrong thing. I guess I'm just trying to understand what is a permitted event. How does amplification get permitted? Does it have a decibel level? And what I would suggest is that there be porta potties, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. I just would like to see something that was not, it felt kind of chaotic. And it was also, I think, the arrival of the DJ specifically, that the traffic snarl became very clear at that time, because the SUV that he was in the intersection for quite a while. And of course, Adriano Espaillat was there before Idanis was there. I've been trying to understand from DOT, because I guess they run Quisqueya Plaza. I'm trying to understand the programming, because if I'm going to volunteer every Sunday, I would like to honestly just know what I'm going to be experiencing. I thought I was just going to be in the garden, but it's an event. So I'm part of the event. Fine, it's great. But please help me so that I can know. I need a schedule. And I'd like some porta potties. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Eliasan, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm also a member of the Ring Garden. And I also know that when volunteers are in the Ring Garden, you are responsible for the garden. So I'm wondering if I were there and I was inside the garden facilitating, then I would tell that person, what are you doing? And I understand that not everybody's comfortable with that kind of area. So yeah, so that's, yeah, I'm also a member of the Ring Garden. I support all of the local communities. So that's understandable. And that's probably like a public health issue. But then the transportation, that's another issue. And that should go to the transportation committee to understand how we can improve the traffic flow when we have these events. So that is completely understood. I'm sorry, Elias said.
That's okay. This is a conversation more than anything.
And I will say that I did say, what are you doing? And the answer was just pointing. She was pointing to someone, I think maybe a man had just come in and done the same thing, and I hadn't seen it because, if you're at the other end of the garden, you might not see it. So there you have it. And if, for public safety, the policemen that I did talk to, a couple of them, they basically said, when I asked them about public urination, they said, well, call 311. And I said, well, it's a little late. And in any event, whatever can be done to alleviate that. And I'm really kind of concerned about the June 18th event, only because they've announced it for a while. And I have a feeling it's Father's Day, it'll be a big deal. So if there's porta potties or whatever can help. Thanks for your time.
No, thank you for coming forward and show you that you really, your concerns are all valid. And I think that Luana agrees with what you just explained. So thank you, Ms. Grant. And then we're gonna move on to our last report for the night.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I really appreciate this conversation, and I really appreciate you, Cheryl, because I think that we really need to hold space for the fact that we live in New York City and it's loud. have been here. I'm 47 years old. I'm born and bred here, and it's loud. I get annoyed when I hear the police sirens. I get annoyed when I hear the ambulance sirens, but I understand that I'm a New Yorker and that comes with the territory. So I just want us to be real careful, because what it sounds like is that this is an event that is, has a lot to do with culture and the way, people come into community with each other. And I think that there can be a conversation between the community so there can be respect there. And I yield back.
Yeah, good programming gives good preparation for any, unintended situation. So I think that programming will be key moving forward. So I'd like now to thank you all for this conversation. To pass the baton to Superintendent Miller from our HCOM Residential. Superintendent. Superintendent Miller.
Hold on. Good evening, everyone.
He's a little feeble out there when he's walking.
Hold on.
It scares me, man.
Good afternoon or good evening. Superintendent Miller here from Edgecombe. I just want to give a quick update as I'm actually multitasking here. We did our public safety meeting yesterday, and we did our community tour yesterday. The facility is still dealing with work release, women returning to the community, as well as single males coming to us instead of the shelter. Everything's been going well. We've been going since August. A lot of positive outcomes. So we're actually probably going to expand and be able to help women in the same situation that are being released to the community in the future. That's our next project that we want to do. So everything's been going well. We've gotten good support. We've gotten clothing donations from the DA's office. We've gotten professional clothing, male and female clothing. Odyssey House has donated books that we're able to give out to the residents. Everybody's been, either programming or getting employment, and we've been able to get a number of people permanent housing, and hasn't been any problem in the community. So that's my quick update.
Thank you once more for all the work you do. So is there anyone that would like to bring another issue that you feel as though is important but has not been touched or discussed? I don't want to leave any tables unturned. Like to have our conversations open and productive. If not, I posted my email address. More than welcome to receive anything that I can pass the information over to whomever you guys feel that should be the person in charge. And we are going to have an in-depth conversation about what we talked about the plaza, and when I invite them to come, of course, and share with us exactly function and plans and programming and so forth. If that's okay with you guys. So having said that, I'd like to get a motion on the floor to call the meeting to adjournment.
Mr. Chair,
one question.
Marcia has her hand up. I just want to make sure that.
And that she's been up since she spoke.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't lower it.
You forgot to lower it, lowering.
I'm sorry, one question.
One question to
Are
yourself.
do you take a break for July and August, or you're going
August,
to have a July meeting?
July and August, those 2 months.
So the next meeting will be September.
We have a special forum that we're supposed to have, and I'm hoping that is around that issue in July. It's called.
But the next regular meeting should be September 6th, I believe.
September 6th, yeah. But it's called the meeting of the whole. that we're supposed to have. So luckily, or hopefully we can make it around that issue that I believe is important.
All right, thank you.
Eleazar, this is Cheryl, just real quick. For whatever reason, I see everybody's comments. I don't even see your email address that you said you put. I'm not seeing that. I looked in the chat. I'm looking in the Q&A. I still don't see the captain's phone number. I've been checking the chat.
Yeah, her numbers, may I share it, Captain?
Yes, of course. I put it twice.
917 is 917.
Hold on real quick. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, 917.
224.
Yes.
1948.
And what is the captain's name? I'm sorry.
I'll spell it for you. It's WIE. RZ.
RZ.
Yes. CH.
Yes.
OW.
Yes.
SKA.
Okay, can I just repeat it? WIERZCHWSKA.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so very much. I got it now. Thank you. Thank you, Eleazar. Thank you.
All right. So that motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, and please stay safe. Check on your asthmatic friends and
Yes.
coworkers and colleagues.
Should have talked about that. Yeah. Make sure that if you have breathing problems, don't come outside unless it's fully necessary.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.